Hi, my name is Max and I have a dangerous allergy to anything cold. I first noticed my allergy when I was 14. I sat down on some cold grass and then when I stood up I had an urticarial rash all over my legs. And then from there it just kind of got worse and worse. We didn't know it was cold at the time. We thought it was grass and then trees and then all sorts of things, because who in the world is allergic to cold? Things that give me a reaction include sitting on anything cold, touching anything cold. So if I roll my sleeves up and I lean on a cold table, I'll get a nice reaction all over here. Eating ice cream, drinking cold water, the sweat drying on my skin, showers, water cooling on my skin afterwards. If I'm in the bath, once I submerge, I can't unsubmerge, otherwise that will cool down and give me a reaction. Anything with ice. It's not just a winter problem, it affects me all year round because cold exists all year round. So ice drinks in summer, that's a problem. Sweating in summer, that's a problem. Air conditioning is the bane of my life. That gives me the most painful reactions that I have. It's always on my forehead and it's just a massive headache and it swells and it's really painful. So yeah, definitely not just a winter problem. Literally anything cold, so even breathing in cold air will make me have a reaction. I have to wear my mask because when I breathe in the cold air I get an inflammatory response in my airways and it makes me wheeze. And wearing the mask traps a layer of warmer air between my face and the mask, so I'm not breathing in cold air directly, and it just makes it a lot easier for me to breathe instead of having to rely on an inhaler every 5 seconds. The mask helps to prevent cold air getting into my lungs, it helps preventing me wheezing, it helps prevent me from wheezing myself into unconsciousness because I've wheezed until I pass out before, and it also keeps my face warm so I don't have urticaria all over my face, which is an added bonus. To avoid a reaction, I take my antihistamines every day. I always take out spare antihistamines with me, I carry an inhaler, I wear the mask, I always wrap up nice and warm, I check my weather app before I go anywhere just to make sure I'm not caught unaware of the weather, and I avoid air conditioning as much as possible. I received lots of verbal abuse from wearing my mask, mostly just people walking past going, "What the?" And they usually tag something onto that like, "You look like a Fortnite character," "You look like you're dressed for nuclear warfare," which is going to take a bit more with cotton, "Is the earth that polluted?" All sorts of things that barely count as abuse. But then I've also been sat on buses and I've received lots of personal insults, threats of what they might like to do to me if I wasn't wearing a mask. Instructions to take the mask off. I often get compared to a Fortnite character. Plenty of unasked for comments. When I tell people I'm allergic to cold, they have all sorts of responses. Most of them don't believe me. It's usually, "But how though?" Or "Just put a jumper on." After coming into contact with cold, I can have a variety of different reactions. So if it's something like I've leant on the cold, if I've leant on a cold surface, I will get an urticarial rash wherever I've leant on, and that can be itchy, that can be painful, that could be hot and swollen, which is quite ironic because it's cold. If I breathe in cold air, I get wheezy and I get dizzy. If I go and stay out in a cold environment for a while, so if I took an hour-long stroll in the cold, I would have a systemic reaction where I get headaches, I get dizzy, my vision goes a bit funny, there's rashes all over places, everything feels a bit weird and swollen, and it's actually quite painful. People don't think that pain is associated with it, but like trying to breathe when your lungs are swollen is painful. With my reactions getting worse, it is quite worrying. Looking into the future, I don't know where I'm going to be. I'm already wearing a mask every time I go outside. What more can I really do? I don't want to die from cold. That would not be my favourite thing, and I hope it never comes to that. I think I've got quite a way to go for that point yet. Yeah, so wearing my mask, it doesn't feel bad, but it doesn't. When I first started, it didn't feel particularly good. There was lots of stares and I felt a bit self-conscious. Kind of just the same as like wearing clothes. So if someone wears like a bright colourful jacket and people stare, so I've kind of got used to it for that. And then I finally found some like patterned masks that I think are more friendly than like a black piece of cloth. So I'm hoping this makes people a little bit less intimidated, but I'm like the least intimidating person I know.